Hello students. Yesterday we were discussing about sample paper solutions, and there we have discussed some of the sections of sample paper, and along with sample paper, as we are just discussing topics and concepts that is based on that questions, so are related to that question. So one by one we are just doing these things, and I think all the things that you have just studied, that can be reminded in your mind after this discussion. So here we have discussed 23 questions yesterday. So in that section, next question, 24 number question that we will discuss today, that is given that a charge of 8 millicoulomb is located at the origin. So suppose at origin charge, suppose this is our origin, a charge of this 8 millicoulomb that is located here at this point, and we have to calculate the work done in taking a small charge 2 nanocoulomb from a point P. Suppose a point P that is given to us, this is P, this is 003 centimeter it is given, to a point Q 040 centimeter, to a point Q, this is given 044 centimeter 0, via a point R that is 06 centimeter 9 centimeter. So we have some of the points. That point is something like suppose here is the point R that is 06 centimeter and 9 centimeter. So this is our question, that we have this charge 8 millicoulomb at origin, and one charge of 2 nanocoulomb that we are going to just transfer from P to Q. Means we are moving this charge from P to Q, and we have to calculate what will be the work done during this process. So you can calculate easily here work done. So as we know that work done is given by potential into charge. So here the value of charge is given, that is, we have taken this capital Q, this is given 2 nanocoulomb. So value of this charge, that is 2 nanocoulomb. So first of all, let's just see that if we will just move this potential to this origin, then what will be the potential, this charge from P to this, suppose that this point is O, then P to in moving P to O, what will be the work done there? So work done W1, that is given by QQ upon 4 pi epsilon 0. This is suppose R1 we have. Clear? So as this distance is this is the distance between these 2 points, and obviously if you will just calculate this distance, that will be equal to 3 centimeter. So it means that the distance between these 2 points is PQ is 3 centimeter, then value of R1 here, that is 3 centimeter. Value of Q, the charge that is located here, this is 8 millicoulomb, that is Q, and capital Q that is given. So easily you can calculate what will be the work done in moving this charge from P to O. Now you can just see, when we will move the charge from Q to O, then what will be the work done during that process. So in that process, the work done, that will be QQ upon 4 pi epsilon 0 R2. So this will be the value when we will move this charge to Q. But here you are seeing that the 2 charges that are moving in opposite directions. So in that case, obviously the total work done, that will be the difference between these 2 points. So simply if you will take this W2 minus W1, then you can calculate what will be the work done during this process. Means simple, this value will be Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 1 upon R2 minus 1 upon R1. Now you can put the value of R2, you can put the value of R1. The value of R1 is this 3 centimeter, value of R2 is this 4 centimeter. So you can use that value, and you can put value, and you can solve it So easily students we can solve this value, and finally you will get the work done by this process, that will be nearly 1.2 joule. You can calculate it by yourself. Your next question is that in the actually in 24 number question, this is 1 mark question, and 1 mark question we have still, that is, what do you understand by the statement electromagnetic waves transport momentum? We have discussed this question yesterday also. So as electromagnetic waves, whenever they just incident on any metallic surface, then they impart or they just penetrate that, they transmit through this. It means that they are applying force on that. So when they are applying force per unit area, it means that they are just applying some of the pressure, and in that process they are transferring some of the momentum to the surface. And the transfer of momentum you can calculate easily by the concept of de Broglie hypothesis. You can easily get that things there. So or also in another way you can understand, if any moving mass, photon has moving mass, you know that. So if moving mass that is just traveling with some of the velocity, then obviously some of the momentum it will carry, and whenever it will incident on the surface, it will impart some of the momentum of that is stored in that. So I think this question is easy and you can understand it. Next question is that it is related to dual nature of radiation and photoelectric effect that we have just studied. So in a plot of photoelectric current versus anode potential, so we have a condition that is given, the photoelectric current versus anode potential. First question is that the saturation current vary for incident radiation of different frequencies but same intensities. So here first of all you have to understand on which factor the anode potential is depending on or photoelectric current is depending on. So in photoelectric effect, as you know that suppose we have this metallic plate and we have just put anode here. So this is our cathode, light is incident on this, and due to that if suitable frequency is incident on it, then electrons that gets emitted from here, that is collected at this anode, and for collection we just apply some of the potential on this. So basically we just apply here positive potential and negative potential. So it means that we are just applying positive potential at the anode. So now this is the anode potential that we are applying here. Here the ejected electron that is ejecting from here, and whenever electrons are collected at that, circuit is completed and a current will be constituted in that. That is known as photoelectric current. Clear? So when you plot the graph for anode potential, means on which factor it is depending on. So first of all, suppose that we are just increasing frequency of the incident radiation. Then by the photoelectric effect, you know that when we increase frequency of incident radiation, then that time the kinetic energy of ejected electrons that increased. So if kinetic energy will increase, then it means that if we will provide less potential at anode, then that time some of the electrons are able to reach here because they have high energy, they have already high energy, enough energy to reach to the anode here. So they can be collected by anode easily at some lower potential. Means if frequency we are increasing frequency, then anode potential you can decrease it by. And also you know that if suppose that for a fixed frequency the electrons that are ejected from here and they are collected at here, we have just kept positive potential, but when we started to apply the negative potential on this anode, then this negative potential will repel these ejected electrons, and only that electron can reach here whose energy is greater than this potential that we have applied here. And ultimately if continually we are applying negative potential at anode, then one time will occur when no of the electron will be able to reach here due to repulsion here. So that time when photoelectric current becomes zero at the negative potential, that is known as cutoff potential. So or anode cutoff anode potential there. So now at cutoff anode potential, we just started to increase this frequency of radiation. So it means that if we are just increasing frequency of radiation, means we are providing energy to the system, means kinetic energy of electron that will increase, means now some of the electrons have enough energy, then they can bear this negative potential, this repulsion, and they can just reach here. So in that way again the negative potential will, means the zero potential, that will decrease again. Means again if you want the zero value of photoelectric current, and that time negative potential will be decreased. So in this way we are seeing that these two quantity, means photoelectric effect and anode potential graph, if you will draw, then first of all let's draw its graph. So suppose at this point we have taken this side is positive potential, this side is negative potential, and also at this we have taken this photoelectric current here, and now we started to suppose first of all we have some fixed frequency nu1. Then for that fixed frequency, obviously some of the electrons we have for some of the intensity, and they have just reached here. When we apply continually, if you are applying positive potential, then that time current is started to increase. And when suppose here for the fixed intensity, here intensity is same. In our first question it is given that if we are changing frequency, we have kept just constant intensity, then what will be the effect on this curve? So first of all we have just kept constant frequency, and intensity is automatic constant, and you know that number of electrons that are ejected in photoelectric effect, that depends on intensity of radiation. So if intensity of radiation is constant, it means that number of electrons ejected here, that will be also constant. So if number of electrons, suppose here some 8 electrons that are ejected here due to that intensity. Now we have just started to increase this potential, positive potential, or some of the positive potential we have just applied, then some of the electrons can be easily attracted here, and photoelectric current we can obtain. And continually if we will increase the positive potential, attractive power of this anode will increase, and more electrons that will be collected at anode. So when whole of the 8 electrons will collected here, then that time current becomes constant. So this constant current is known as saturation current here. Clear? Now what will be the effect when we started to decrease this potential? Now start to decrease this potential and start to provide negative potential. So suddenly it not become zero, but slowly it just come to zero. Means for some of the negative potential, some of the electrons can bear this potential. They can even reach there because they have enough kinetic energy. But when you we just start to increase the negative potential on this anode, that negative potential will start to repel these electrons. So less and less electron will reach to the anode, and ultimately for the sum of the negative potential, suppose at this negative potential no of the electrons are able to reach there, and finally the current will become zero here. And this zero potential is known as, you know that this is cutoff potential and threshold potential we just call it. So this is the graph between anode potential and photoelectric effect at constant intensity is constant here, and this is at frequency nu1. Now just increase frequency here. If we will increase this frequency to nu2, then that time saturation current will be same. Reason is that frequency doesn't increase the number of electrons ejected, number of electrons will be same, then this maximum current will be same automatic, but this negative potential that will now start to decrease more. Reason is that if intensity is increased, kinetic energy of electron is increased, means at this potential no of the electron was able to reach the anode at this frequency, but still when frequency is increased, then some of the electrons will be able to reach there. Then in that case here we don't zero there. So it means that this graph will be somewhat like in this form. means this potential will change there. Continually if we will increase this frequency, then for the different frequency this anode potential or the cutoff potential will be different. So if this, suppose this is at nu1, this is at nu2, this is at nu3, then where nu3 is greater than nu2 and greater than nu1. So this is the graph between photoelectric current and anode potential at different frequencies. Means this potential is depending on frequency, but it is not even meant as same intensity, it is not changing. Clear? Second question in this, the stopping potential vary for incident radiation of different intensities but same frequency. So as I just told you, here two things are given. First, in first statement it is given in this graph, if we are changing frequencies, then photoelectric current and or saturation current, there will be the variation in that, but the intensity is same there. So there should not be any variation in saturation current whenever we are changing intensity. That factor you have to keep in your mind. Saturation current will change whenever number of electrons ejected will change here, because saturation current is the maximum current that we are getting here. So all of the electrons will be just collected here, then current will become constant. Now this constant current can be increased when number of electrons can be increased here. So if number of electrons are now suppose 10, 12, 14, then this current will be increased. So saturation current depends on intensities. This is not depending on frequencies. So our first statement is that the saturation current vary for incident radiation of different frequencies but same intensity. So this is not correct statement. The correct statement is that saturation current depending on intensities, not on frequencies. So with frequency, this anode potential is changing, cutoff potential is changing, but this saturation current is not changing. This will change whenever intensity will change, because intensity is directly proportional to the number of electrons ejected here. Clear, I think. And the second question was that the stopping potential vary for incident radiation of different intensities but same frequency. So this is also the wrong statement. As we are seeing, this is the stopping potential and this is changing with different frequencies, not with different intensities. So the different intensity will provide only different number of electrons, but that number of electrons will be collected here, or they have enough energy or not, that is dependent on this frequency. So whenever frequency will change, they will be able to cross this, they will be able to collect it here. But if frequency is constant, then stopping potential will be constant. But yeah, for that case, if intensity is changing, then different this saturation current will change. Means this will be like this will be like this, but still this will be constant. So these two factors you have to understand. The saturation current is depending on intensity and stopping potential is depending on frequency. So here two contradictory facts that we have given in question. You have to just justify it. So you have to understand that every time the statement is given, that cannot be right. So you have to first of all plot the graph. You have to understand the concepts. That's why I just again explained you this thing. So I think this is now clear. So we have just discussed 3 of the sections now. Till section 3 we have discussed all the questions. So now let's come to the section 4 here. In section 4, one of the question is the data for forward current and forward voltage and reverse current and reverse voltage is given, and we have to plot graph for that. So there is no need to again explain that. Next question that I will explain here, that is how does the resistance of conductor change with temperature? So in this question actually there are 3 questions. So first question is that how does the resistance of conductor change with temperature? So as I told you already, how does the resistance is changing in insulator, conductor or semiconductor? So in case of conductors, resistance increases with increase in temperature, as already there are a lot of free electrons there. So when we provide external energy, excess energy, then they will use it to increase their kinetic energy, and they will start to collide, they will start to resist each other's motion there. So that's why flow of current that decreases due to increase in resistance there. So this is the reason their resistance of the conductor that increases with increase in temperature, but still if this is the case for insulator, then that will decrease there. Okay. Next question is that why a potentiometer be preferred over a voltmeter for the measurement of EMF of a cell. So as you have studied two of the instruments there, like meter bridge and potentiometer in laboratory, we have used that instrument also to find out EMF of cell, and also to compare the EMF of cell, also to find out the internal resistance of cell. So number of things that we have just done with the help of potentiometer. So why we are using potentiometer over voltmeter to measure the EMF of any cell? You can also measure it by using voltmeter. So what is the reason to use potentiometer? So reason is that actually voltmeter draws current, a lot of current from the bad cells there. So that's why very few amount of voltage or EMF that can be measured, and if EMF of the cell is very low, then we cannot measure it by the voltmeter there. So and also potentiometer doesn't draw any current from the cell. So that's why this is obviously, you can say that this is more efficient, more sensitive than voltmeter. I mean, we can even measure a small EMF that is generated in a cell by using potentiometer. Second thing is that with the help of potentiometer, as this is sensitive, this can measure a small EMF, then it means that this is more accurate device than the voltmeters that we have. So these are the reason due to that we are using potentiometer to compare EMFs, to find out EMFs and to calculate the internal resistance. But we are not using to just calculate EMF or find out EMF of the cell by using voltmeters there. Next is a question that is numerical question based on potentiometer. So the question that is given here, we have a figure of potentiometer. So let's just draw it. So this is 2 points A and B that we have used here. This is a galvanometer, this is jockey attached to it. These are the two resistances that we have used here, that is R and X, and this is the cell that we have used. This is the figure that is given. Now come to the question, that is figure shows a potentiometer circuit for a comparison of two resistances. So we can also compare two resistances by using potentiometer. Next, the balance point with a standard resistor is for standard resistors R is equal to 10 ohm is found to be 60 centimeter. So this balance point, suppose L we are taking, this is equal to 60 centimeter. Now while that with the unknown resistance X is 70 centimeter. So suppose for unknown resistance for X we are taking this balance point is L2, that is 70 centimeter. Then we have to find out what is the value of X we have. So as this question is very easy, we know already this thing, because here the theory and principle on which this potentiometer is working on, that is the EMF generated in this, that is directly proportional to the null point that we are getting here. So this is working on this principle, and we can use it also here. So So suppose E1 is EMF that is generated in this, and E2 is EMF that is generated in that, and also we have connected with the same cell, then obviously these two are in parallel combination. So as this is the principle of potentiometer, then EMF generated in the cell that is directly proportional to the null point that we have got there. So suppose that the voltage drop in this R resistance, that is E1, and voltage drop in this X resistance, that is E2. So we can write by using that E1 is directly proportional to L1 and E2 is directly proportional to L2. So E1 divided by E2, you will solve it, then you will get it L1 upon L2. And also in place of E1, we can write here this IR upon this is IX. This will be equal to L1 upon L2. Clear? So as current in this same circuit that will be same, then obviously we can use it easily. What will be the case here? And now we can solve it easily. What will be the value of X? So value of X from this equation, that will be R L2 upon L1. Now you can put the value of R here, value of L2 here, and value of L1 here, and now just solve it. Its value comes out to be this. So this is the answer of this question. So such types of questions are very easy, and they always ask in your examination. They always come actually in board examination. So a question based on potentiometer and meter bridge, that always arise in your examination. So try to focus on these questions also. They are really very important question here. So I think now this is clear. We have discussed 3 of the questions based on this thing. So next question that is given to us, that is related to electromagnetic wave. So question that is given an EMF, sorry, not EMF. Here the oscillating electric field EY, this is equal to 30 sine 2 into 10 to the power 11 t plus 300 pi s volt per meter. So this is in question. It is given that we have the electric field that is in this form. This is oscillating electric field obviously. So we have to first find out what is the value of wavelength of electromagnetic wave. So what is the wavelength of this electromagnetic wave that is moving with this oscillating electric field? So first of all, you have to remind the equation of wave that you have just studied in the chapter wave motion in your earlier classes. So as this is just like just y is equal to a sine omega t plus kx form. So this is resembles with that equation. So here you have to just write out first of all the value of k. This is the value of omega. So you can write, suppose this is the value of amplitude, that is 30. Here the value of omega, I am just not writing any unit here, 2 into 10 to the power 11, and the value of k, that is 305. So after comparison you can go get that values. Now you know that k is equal to 2 pi by lambda here, where lambda is the wavelength of the wave. So by using this equation easily you can calculate what is the value of lambda. This will be equal to 2 pi upon this k, that is the 300 pi. So finally this will be equal to 150. So this is the answer of your first question, and as it is given in meter, this will be in meter also. So next is second question in this, that is write down the expression for the oscillating magnetic field. So by using electric field you can also calculate or find out what is magnetic field. As you know that oscillating electric field produces oscillating magnetic field, and oscillating magnetic field produces oscillating electric field. So with the help of this equation you can find out easily what will be the oscillating magnetic field here. So as we know that the relationship between electric field and magnetic field, that is E by B, that is equal to C we have. So by using, so the value of E is equal, E by B, that is equal to C, or we can write here B, that is given by E upon C. So we have the value of E here, then you can, if divide it by simply C, then we can find out what will be the value of B or oscillating magnetic field. So simple, this will be 30 upon this C. You can also put the value here. This will, and now sine 2 into 10 to the power 11 t plus 300 pi x. This is as it is, that will be. And now if you will solve it, then you will get here, this will be the value 10 power minus 7. This is sine 2 into 10 to the power 11 t plus 300 pi x. And here the direction of B, how can you find out, that is also very important. As here this is given the direction of electric field, that is in y direction. Suppose this is y direction, this is the direction of electric field, and direction of propagation here kx, that is in x direction. So direction of propagation is in x. Then obviously you know that all these three things are mutually perpendicular to each other: electric field, magnetic field, and direction of propagation. When electric field is in y direction, direction of propagation is in x direction, then obviously magnetic field, that will be in z direction here vertically. So it means that here this will be dz. So this is the value of oscillating magnetic field that you can calculate. This is just, you have to find out easily these things, how to find out is, and how to find out this direction here by using this concept. So you have to just, it is given already, direction of propagation and this value of oscillating electric field, then you can easily find out it. So I think so students, what we have discussed today, I think that is clear. And now if all these things are clear, then rest of the things we will discuss in next class. Rest of the sample paper we will discuss next class. So let's just end the class here today.